gather round the flickering candlelight and prepare to cross the veil. Each week on the Boocifers seance, your ghostly guides, Mrs. and Mr. Boo, summon a chilling new tale from the other side. From haunted mansions and cursed forests to restless spirits with unfinished business, this spectral duo dives deep into spine-tingling ghost stories that will haunt your dreams. Whether it's a forgotten legend or a real-life haunting, no story is too eerie for the Boos to conjure. So light a candle, clutch your blanket tight, and dare to join the seance, because once you listen, something might just follow you home. Enter, if you dare.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Boocifers seance, and today we are talking on the Rougarou. Am I saying that right?
Rougarou.
Rougarou. But yes, Mr. Boo, you wanna kick us off?
No, this one's yours.
This is on me. All right. So
I got a synopsis for you, but if you want to kind of give a little bit of a background.
so today tonight we are talking about the Rougarou, also known as loup-garou. It's a folklore that's going to be right smack down in the bayous of New Orleans. I think I got that destination right. All right, Mr. Boo, we're ready for your synopsis.
You don't have anything else you want to say about that?
No, he's I'll let your synopsis kick it. We all love to hear it.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a longer one. This is actually a viewer submission from VKL.
The legend. Shout out.
I found a pretty good one, but it is a little lengthy, so y'all just bear with me. Let's see. So it says, parents raising families in the swamplands of Louisiana don't scare their children with stories of Dracula or the boogeyman. Instead, they spin tales of the Rougarou, a once human, wolf-like, shape-shifting beast who walks on two legs. It looms over us somewhere between 7 and 8 feet tall, depending on which tale, and it eats little children out past their curfew. Children's fairy tale or not, adults scattered around the parish claim that they've seen the Rougarou creeping through the brush in the dark. But do you know its villain horror story, origin story? South Louisiana's culture is heavily influenced by France, and the cultural legend of the Rougarou was no different. When the Acadians were exiled from France, they brought the legend of the loup-garou, pronounced loup-garou, to Nova Scotia, and later on Louisiana. The Cajun version of the tale was formed in our very own bayous and swamplands, eventually coming to be known as the Rougarou. It's uncontested that the Cajun Rougarou stems from the mythic loup-garou, translating to werewolf, of medieval France. But people can't decide if the two were similar or not. According to some sources, in medieval France, when adults were scared of dying in a sword fight or catching some such plague, children feared loup-garous. But much like today, parents back then used it as a way to get their children to follow orders. Don't want your child to play in the woods alone? Tell them the loup-garou will get them. Sticky fingers pilfering wares? A loup-garou will get them. An innocuous habit of starting small, controlled fires? Well, that child was probably switched with a channeling, but a loup-garou will get them too. However, other sources like folklore figures of French and Creole Louisiana by Nathan J. Rabalius post that the Middle Ages European loup-garou was greeted with casual indifference or mixed feelings, with the lore stating it resembled a larger breed of dog rather than a feared werewolf or wolf like today's Cajun Rougarou. Rabelais states that the loup-garou of medieval France bears little resemblance, in fact, to the Rougarou, despite being the Cajun creature's origins. There is, though, one account of the French loup-garou and folklore figures that says that an aspect of the lore was the beast being shrouded in themes of punishment and scare tactics. Depending on the area of France, if a citizen was shunned by the church and didn't repent, was excommunicated from the land, or hadn't gone to confession in 10 years, they would be punished by turning into a werewolf for a set amount of time. Here's that full quote for your own interpretation. In the Middle Ages in France, it was often believed that if any person had been denounced from the altar and remained impenitent, refused to make restitution and confess, the curse of the werewolf fell upon him. In Normandy, any man who was excommunicated became a werewolf for a term of 3 or 7 years. Some people who had not been shriven for 10 years nor used holy water could become a werewolf. In La Vendée, the man who was excommunicated became a werewolf for 7 years, during which he was obligated to haunt certain ill-amended and accursed spots. There are more reasons given as to why a medieval Frenchman would be slammed with the loup-garou curse, and much are the same reasons seen in southern Louisiana lore about the rougarou. Other than scaring kids into heeding their bedtimes and staying out of places they weren't supposed to be, early rougarou lore held threats that anyone doing particularly anything seen as slightly uncouth were susceptible to the curse of the rougarou. If you even looked a rougarou in the eye, you find yourself becoming one. How does a rougarou turn back human, though? Depending on the version of the story you read, turning back human is either easy peasy or hard to come by. Loup-garou or rougarou wise, if a rougarou has been transformed for 101 days, he can turn back by biting a human, thus passing the curse of the rougarou to someone else. Less commonly, you can track down a witch and she can transform you back human. The most common that I've heard is using the power of confusion. Setting out 13 of the same items, usually pennies, on your doorstep not only protects you from a rougarou but changes them back to human too. Rougarous cannot count over 12, so the beast will be stuck endlessly counting to 12, frustrating itself, and eventually, much like a Pokemon, hurt itself in its confusion and turn back human. If all else fails, you can also take a page out of John Winchester's book and just kill it by decapitation. While the rougarou is commonly beloved by residents for being a mostly uniquely Cajun cryptid, the clutches of the bayou werewolf are rather far-reaching. A season 4 episode of Supernatural features a rougarou the Winchester brothers have to fight. Likewise, an NCIS New Orleans episode in its 6th season has a victim killed during a hunt for the legendary creature. Even J.K. Rowling uses rougarou hair as the core of some of the wands in the Harry Potter Wizarding World. Pascal Lepage, an Oklahoman cartoonist, used the rougarou as one of the antagonists in her comic Wildlife. And most bizarrely, a roller coaster in Sandusky, Ohio Cedar Point theme park is named the Rougarou. I saw nothing visually connecting it to our Rougarou, but I am also not a fan of roller coasters and probably missing something. The Rougarou might not be real, but it certainly has us in its hairy clutches. There is your synopsis.
That was well done. Well done as usual.
If you want to flip my thing over, I have a picture, a drawing. Let's see if I have another one.
So there's what?
That's one of them. That's the more dog-like creature. And then here is the
narc.
Here is the more, I think, the one we're aiming for today.
Now that looks a little creepy and more scary.
Yeah.
Oh man. When I was doing some research on this rougarou, so people find it to not be just a wolf, but for it to be, it could be anything. They said it could be a bear, a bunny rabbit, literally like anything. Which is wild to think of a bunny rabbit having like a body count of 300 something murders. Little Peter Cottontail, you might say. But when I looked into it, it said he was The Rougarou was known for stalking the night, stalking the night and hunting those who break moral and social taboos. So there was 3 ways you can possibly become a Rougarou. And the first, like you said, a bite. The second is a pact with El Satan himself, El Diablo. And then 3, which is wild. But you break Lent for 7 years. So you consistently break Lent for seven consistent years, and you become the Rougarou. Some also say that yes, at 100 you stay if you get bit, you stay you stay that way for 101 days, which is such an odd number. Like, who picked this number? But 101 days, you have 101 days to transfer it to another person if you told someone how it happened to you. So the only way to prevent someone else to becoming a Rougarou is you have to keep it a secret, and then it dies. I mean, no one else becomes the Rougarou. So I'm looking and talking because I don't know if you're gonna watch this on YouTube or hear it from our podcast or hear it from Spotify. But if you get bit, don't tell nobody. Keep it a secret. Let's keep it down in New Orleans. Don't bring it anywhere else. But it says the Rougarou, what it looks like is it's a hairy with sharp teeth, claws, typical werewolf man. But they're also smart, very very smart. That's one of their their gift abilities, I guess you would say. They have the glowing eyes. They have super strength. Other names that I saw that people would call the Rougarou is, like you said, Loup-garou, which was the French, and then it looked like people were leaning it towards Wendigo. I don't know if anyone's played The Quarry, and you looked at a Wendigo. I guess they kind of look the same. Yeah, but some it depends on which story you're listening to. But some don't believe it's just a werewolf man. Some believe it's a shapeshifter. If you're leaning towards like the witch side. But then I looked because I need to know in case I run into it. I need to know how you can kill it. All right, so I looked up ways. They said a frog. It has a fear of frogs, which is kind of strange since its location is the bayou. I'm pretty sure there's some frogs there. I've never been to New Orleans, so I'm not 100% sure, but tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, that's a terrible place to be afraid of frogs. You can also use salt. It will burst into flames if you throw salt at it. New Orleans also has, I guess, this. I don't know. I don't know how you say it. So, Mikael, if you're listening, watching, tell me if I said it wrong. But it's New Orleans hoodoo legendary or legends say that a gator man. We'll get more into that on, I guess, another episode. But the gator man protects against the Rougarou. It protects the people of New Orleans against the Rougarou. Another way to kill it is decapitation, and then when you do the counting thing, like if you put 13 small objects near an entrance, they can't count past. I read they can't count past 13, so they'll keep counting it over and over till they get confused, or until dawn, when they turn back to human. But yeah. So then that's when it becomes vulnerable and you can just kill it. I mean, stab it. with silver. But it, like you said, the Rougarou was used to scare kids to being good or obedient. They used to tell kids if you misbehave, the Rougarou would come and take you. Quit telling your kids this stuff. First Krampus, now the Rougarou. Well, I don't know who came first, but that's really all I had learned. And I don't know, maybe it just makes me not want to travel to New Orleans.
I feel that.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of letting you get your side out there first.
Mhm.
Um, I feel the same way. This is definitely one of those stories. Like, I think with chat last month or last week, not last month, um, we talked about kind of like the El Chupacabra. You know, I had heard stories about it, and you hear one story from one person, and it's this evil, horrific thing, and the next time it's not that bad. I found a lot of that with the stories I was listening to.
Mhm.
I think the 101-day thing is interesting to me too, because it's very specific, but there's not a lot of background about where it comes from. So I try to do a little research on that a little bit more. Didn't really find much. There are a lot of stories about the voodoo side of it. Witches, I know the synopsis briefly mentioned you could have a witch transform you, which a lot of people think that the legend is true, and it was actually the Rougarou is a curse that witches created. Um, so that kind of ties how a witch can release you from it. Um, Definitely, I saw some or listened to some stories on YouTube that some folks had about being out fishing in the bayou and got attacked by something, and it had two yellow eyes and stood at 8 feet tall. So, I just Louisiana has a lot of folklore, and I think this fits Louisiana very, very specifically. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much that goes back and forth with it. Different stories of what it looks like, different stories of how it originated. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The rumors, there's not just there was just not much you can find on it. You just hear a bunch of people's stories. Um, some good, some say the Rougarou and Gator Man.
I thought an interesting part of it, going more into the loup-garou. Um, so a lot of times folklore doesn't travel well. So if
Yeah.
you have a story from, especially from a different country, it's across the pond, and that story was able, I mean, I know there's differences because, just as much as South Carolinians love to tweak stories and make them their own, I'm sure people from Louisiana do as well. And it developed into the Rougarou, but I heard one person telling a story about it, and they just said that Louisiana people couldn't say loup-garou. It didn't come out right with the accent, so they said Rougarou because it was easier. But most of the stories traveled with the folklore, which is pretty interesting to me. Um, but it also, people have alluded to, um, the Native American version of the Wendigo legend, um, but to be kind of similar. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. Sorry, I'm trying to read as we're talking here. Yeah, they were talking about how if you, I think somebody brought it up about how if you got bit and became a Rougarou, just don't tell anybody.
Yeah, it'll go away.
Yeah, just wait the 101 days and just don't tell anybody. So I don't know. That was one of the things that they kind of joked about, but um
You just gotta keep your mouth shut for 101 days. Don't tell anybody about your late night activities and just.
yeah.
So if the Rougarou is still going around in New Orleans, someone snitched. Oh man. Oh, but
Sorry,
like
I'm still looking stuff up.
no, you're okay. You're all right. But if it was me and I needed to protect myself against the Rougarou, not only would I have 13 items, they're all gonna be silver. Cause I'm taking it out. There's no coming back. It's done. It's done. But I don't know. So I've played, I guess, 2 games that have some version of the Rougarou. Like the one game I played, South of Midnight, it does have the Rougarou, and you do go through these steps of trying to get rid of it. But then I think it's either the Quarry or Until Dawn that has the Wendigo version. So if you are interested in battling this beast, those are 2 games I would very much recommend. And if you just don't want to be a Wendigo and you do Lent, is that Catholic? That Catholic thing?
I think it is, or I think there
Just
might be a couple that observe that.
if you do Lent in any religion you're part of, do not if you're skip it for 6 years. Do not do that 7th year. Let's not keep creating these Rougarous. Let's let it die, okay? So New Orleans doesn't have to deal with a half beast or a half rabbit, half man. I don't know. I'm down to battle a half rabbit, half man.
You're always down to battle something.
I mean, what would you want to fight? A half werewolf, half half werewolf, half man, half bear, half man, or half rabbit, half man?
I guess I'm going half rabbit.
Exactly. But then now I don't know, because if that rabbit beats me, that's embarrassing. I can't come home. Well, I guess then I can't spread the wind or the bite any further, because I'm not going to tell you I got my butt kicked by a rabbit. Oh man.
So I found a story. It says, I'm going to just summarize here, but it says, as a young child in the care of my maternal grandmother, we were often told many Cajun legends to warn us not to wander too far from the care of our ancestral homes. My maternal grandmother was known to us by her Cajun French title, Mamir, I think is how you say that, Mamir, followed by her middle name, Agnes. Even the decrepit parrot she owned, Roscoe, would shout her name when he had need of her. My uncle once told me she got Roscoe from a pirate who got her from a voodoo priestess in the Caribbean Isles. Come to think of it, I had no idea where that bird came from, but I know he lived for over 20 years and had an extensive vocabulary in French and English. One of the many tales of warning told to me and my cousins was that of the Rougarou. This is a tale often told when we went to the camp. For the adults, this was an opportunity to drink, kick back, relax, hunt, and fish. For the kids, it was a chance to play in the marsh, swim in the bayou, tell stories, scare your cousins, ride in the boat, and if you're really lucky, one of your drunk uncles would let you shoot their gun. It was a wild time. I'm pretty sure the first time I shot a gun was at the camp when I was about 6, now that I can think back on it. In order to get to the camp, you had to travel by boat. You'd ride in the car or truck to the boat launch, load up the boat with everything you need, and head down to the bayou. For Mimir, this included a jar of dirt. For the life of me at the time, I did not know why she needed to bring a jar of dirt with her to camp. I didn't know until much later in life that Mimir carried grave dirt with her, a ritual from several different practices, voodoo and Wiccan among them, as a means of protection. As far as I knew, and still know to this day, Mimir was a practicing Catholic and did not dabble in the arts. In fact, she strictly forbid this. Sidebar on how much she forbid the arts. I bought a Ouija board into her house once and she burned it. That didn't stop it from coming back, but I digress. She also forbid me from reading Harry Potter because witchcraft is evil, but she ended up loving the movies. History lesson: where we camped was in La des Allemands. I can't say that word. This is 25 miles southwest of New Orleans, and the four parish, St. Charles Parish and St. John the Baptist parishes. The name of this lake translates from French to the Lake of the Germans. The area of the lake is about 19 square miles. The average depth is about 5 feet, and the maximum depth is 10. If you know anything about water and magic, witchcraft, and spellwork, all water is connected. These swamplands are all connected. My maternal uncle, Howard Jr., lived and made his livelihood as a fisherman on this lake. He passed away in 2004 from throat and lung cancer. He caught fish and alligators in the swampland and lake. He made a modest living this way. When I was about 7 years old, he killed a large alligator and only afterward realized she had a nest of babies. Anyway, I'm going to skip past this. I grew up swimming in gator-infested waters, and I do not have a healthy fear of alligators, snake spiders, or other things. What I do have a healthy fear of is the supernatural big feet and the Rougarou. The Rougarou, also known as the loup-garou, lives in the swamplands of Louisiana. The shape-shifting creature is similar to that of a werewolf. It has the body of a man and the head of a wolf. It differs from a werewolf because it does not require a full moon to turn. The monster is always within the man, and it emerges when feeding is necessary. When the call reaches for the monster, he turns. The Roo roams the swamps in search of children who have wandered away from their parents. Furthermore, he knows which children are willful and disobedient and will come in the night to snatch them in their beds. The story originated in the swamplands, marshy areas, and surrounding fishing communities located near these areas and was meant to keep children from wandering into the swamps and boggy marshes where they could easily become stuck and succumb to drowning. I can personally attest to this, as I had become trapped in the mud of the marsh once myself and began sinking, and my cousins had to pull me out. As losses of habitat became a problem, the story of the Roo changed, and he and his kind became able to leave the marshy swamps to look for more prey. There are now projects in place to restore these marshes, so perhaps the Rougarou may return. There is one Rougarou story that originates back to Catholicism, and I wonder if this is where Mimir got her story and combined it with other Roo stories she had heard. This story is about a Rougarou that would eat children who would not keep the promises made during Lent. Catholicism is pretty common in South Louisiana, especially in the areas where Mardi Gras is celebrated. Mardi Gras is observed on the day immediately prior to Lent, which begins on Ash Wednesday and ends on Easter Sunday, making it 40 days long. This is supposed to be a time of fasting, and people typically give something up during Lent to represent the 40 days that Jesus fasted in the desert. In this version of the Rougarou story, when the children falter and fail to keep their Lent fasting promises, the Roo comes and eats them as punishment for their lack of dedication to their faith. So whether you're misbehaving, wandering where you shouldn't be, eating meat on Fridays during Lent, or who knows what else, you better watch out, because the Roo gonna get you. Let me know if you guys like this because I got many more. And this is from Morbid for Bad People on Reddit.
Huh.
I mean, again, going back to, I always read stories where it's like deep folklore to try to okay, let me give you an example. So my mom and I were having a conversation in the kitchen the other day because Fox News, of all people, was talking about how our parents used to tell us that when you eat and you're swimming, you can't get back in the pool for 30 minutes.
Yeah, you get cramp.
Well, it's a flippin' lie. It was never true.
What?
You can get back in the pool immediately. It's not going to affect you. And I knew that, but my mom agreed that it was just something that they told their children to get them out of the pool for 30 minutes. It didn't have anything to do with them getting hurt or with them cramping or anything. It's just what they told us. And I feel like a lot of the Rougarou stories are like that. Like this is something that they told their kids to keep them from going in the swampy areas and the marshes and wandering too far from home. There are stories of people where they say they have ran into the Rougarou, but a lot of it is based off of that kind of background, or it goes heavily into the Catholicism, the church probably trying to scare you into not breaking your Lent promises, which is a totally different thing.
Well, Mom, if you're watching, I would like an apology for the lies you told me about cramping in the pool. Because I now need to apologize to my kids because I thought it was true. Oh man.
Well, y'all, I'm sorry. I don't feel good today, so I'm trying to drive through this story. So if I'm not my usual chipper self, I apologize. But this is going to be a quick one. We may touch back on it again later. Because what was it that you said at the beginning you were talking about?
Gator Man.
Yeah, so we may do a little bit more research. But again, I apologize that it has not been as long as our other ones. Just feeling a little under the weather today, but wanted to make sure we got something out to you all. So
And if any of our viewers, shout out to VKL, if you VKL or anyone that lives in New Orleans, I got you. Okay, I'm gonna start selling silver toe or no silver frogs that are that have 13 toes. Okay, I got you. I got you.
that was the story that I'm glad you said 13 toes. So I was watching this YouTube video, and the lady said, "Can you imagine an 8-foot monster with yellow eyes ready to kill you standing on your front porch going 11, 12? What the hell comes after 12?" And then he dies.
No, he doesn't die. You walk out there.
Oh, no, he does die.
No, he turns human and you have to kill him, according to something I read. So you
You didn't
walk
listen
out.
to me.
You walk out there, and it's a naked man. Either way, you're still walking out there. It's a naked human.
Oh, so that's one of them. The other one, remember, it referenced Pokemon,
Yeah.
and they say that the Rougarou can become confused and inflict pain on itself for being frustrated, which would cause harm to it, which breaks the curse. Just saying. I'm just saying. I thought it was funny. She's like,
either way, it's going to be a naked man is going to be by those 13 items you laid out, and you're just going to walk out like,
you need to put out 13 pieces of clothing.
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Alrighty, well, I think we're gonna end the podcast there this week. I know we've gotten a couple other user submissions. One of my close friends recommended Jeepers Woods. He's got some pretty interesting tales that I might ask him if I can share next month. He actually has some personal experiences when he was a state employee and they went in the Jeepers Woods. So if you guys kind of want to look at that and see what you think, we might shoot for that as our next user submission We also have
The Bermuda Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle. We have
The Jersey Devil.
the Jersey Devil, and we have the Ed and Lorraine Warren, where we just kind of might just go through some of their more interesting topics and stories. We've gotten a few user submissions. I think next episode next week is going to be something from South Carolina, if I can so help it. The trouble isn't finding one; the trouble's picking one. We actually, like I said on the first episode, we have a lot in our hometown. They're not so scary, but there are some near us. I know Charleston's got a whole bunch, so we may pick something that is from South Carolina and dig into that a little bit.
I'm excited to dig in New Jersey.
Yeah.
The Jersey Devil, you got Annie's Road, you got so many good ones. So many good ones.
As always,
Stay
stay
spooky.
spooky.